Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Bryndís, and today we're talking about all of the books I read in December. I read 17 books in December. I had to count 3 times to believe it, because I don't know how I managed to read. Well, I do know. Few of them were very short. And I read a lot of Agatha Christie, and those books are also very short. So there were no really big, there were no huge books for sure in December. But I read a lot, as you can see. I mean, in the first 3 weeks really, I was very busy with work, and I was just, end of semester type of thing that you have to do as a university lecturer, and a lot of grading and assessment and all of those things. But then in the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks, I did nothing. I hibernated. I went home to my hometown, was living with my parents, who are in their mid-80s, so it was very quiet and calm. I cooked food and I read books. That's basically what I did. So it was wonderful. Very good, an excellent kind of decompression after a very busy period at work. So yeah, I had an excellent Christmas break, Christmas holiday, for sure. But yeah, like I said, I read 17 books. I DNF'd one book, and one book I'm carrying over to January because I wasn't able to finish it in December. So first I want to talk about my Tolkien project. So in November and December, I was reading some of the works by J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien, I don't know exactly how you pronounce that name. It was mostly reread. I read The Hobbit and 2 of the Lord of the Rings books in November. And in December, I read The Return of the King, the 3rd book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I loved it. I read it as an audiobook narrated by Andy Serkis. Perfection. It was just pure joy listening to that. I think I've talked about that extensively already on my channel, but yeah. And it was really fun this was the second time I read the book. I've watched the movie billion times, basically. But it's really fun because there's a lot of things in the book that is not in the movie, or they go into more detail in the books, which is, what's normal, really. But there were scenes in here, when Merry and Pippin meet again after they had been separated for a while, and how the joy of Pippin when he sees Merry, and then Merry is injured, and I cried. It was so good. I also obviously there are so many endings in this book as in the movie as well. Everything is ending. It's ending after ending after ending, basically. I really also enjoyed the love story of Faramir and Éowyn, although I did think that Faramir was a little bit of a jerk, coming on to Éowyn, basically, when she was so anxious about the fate of her brother and of Aragorn, who were in battle at the time, because Faramir and her were injured. So they were not in the final battle. And she's just oh my god, my brother and Aragorn, who she was in love with, or at least interested in. And he's coming on to her. But I liked how their love story ends, and because they were both healers and fit very well together, I think. So I like that. I really like the foreshadowing that Tolkien does in regards to Frodo, how he is really thinking about the ocean. The ocean keeps coming up in his mind, which is definitely a foreshadowing of him going to the what are they called? You know, in the end when he goes, oh, what is it called? Havens, Grey Havens. And so that was really great. And just the heroism of Samwise Gamgee. Like, he is absolutely fantastic. 5 stars. Pure joy. Pure joy. And then I also read, sorry, I have it here below here, Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. And this is, so basically I think it's like originally like an epic poem, and it's been like made into this story. And but this book is like edited by Christopher Tolkien. I listened to it as an audiobook, and there are like, so there's you get the story of Beren and Luthien, but then you also get like different, because it wasn't, Tolkien was still developing it, or he had like different versions of it. In one version, Beren is like a gnome, and in another version, he's a man, and you know, there are like, but it's basically the love story of Beren and Luthien. He is a man, she is an elf, and they're going to steal, and they go to steal Silmarillion. One of the, it's like a gemstone, and it's really good. I really loved, what was his name? Tivildo, the Prince of Cats. I think Tolkien was definitely a dog person, because that cat is like vicious, but then the dog are like friendly and helping them. So yeah, he was definitely a dog person for sure. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't like outstanding for me, but definitely something that I enjoyed. And then I also read in this book, I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was so interesting. So yeah, sorry, it's The Homecoming of Berthnoth, I think it's how you pronounce it. And it's definitely not what I expected. It's a poem, epic poem, an Anglo-Saxon, it's like a historical poem taking place in Anglo-Saxon England when Vikings were raiding. Like, it's like a battle between the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings. And the audio that I listened to was actually an audio recording of Tolkien himself narrating the poem, or like, you know, saying the poem. And it was so interesting. And in this book there are 2 other stories. I didn't read those. I just read The Homecoming of Berthnoth. To be honest, not something that I necessarily enjoyed too much, so I'm giving it only 3 stars. But I thought it was so fascinating to listen to Tolkien himself, and then to listen to the narration. I'm not sure, I don't remember who narrated the Christopher Tolkien parts, where he's like talking about the poem and his father's work on it. But it was very interesting. Yeah, so that was my Tolkien project, and I mean, I would have kind of liked to have gotten to more of his work. So only new to me was The Homecoming of Berthnoth and Beren and Luthien. I have other books by him that I would like to read that I haven't read. But, you know, it's fine. I really enjoyed, I mean, I had... The Lord of the Rings trilogy is just... I don't know if there's any books that I enjoy more than those. They are just fantastic. And so I was very happy to reread them this year. I only read one like classical literature this month, December, which is kind of unusual for me. But what I read was Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. Excellent, very short book. And I mean, I had never actually read it. I've seen the different movie adaptations of it for sure. You know, it's Mr. Scrooge and all of those things. And it's a classic, it's iconic, everybody I think knows it. And it was really fun to read the original. And, I enjoyed it. It wasn't necessarily something spectacular to me. I'm giving it 4 stars. But it's fun to have read the kind of original story of Ebenezer Scrooge and the ghosts of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future, I think. So, yeah. It was fun. Then the majority of the books that I read in December was Agatha Christie and her Poirot books. I think I have like 1 or 2 more books, and then I've read the entire Poirot collection, which is like on my list 38 or 39 books. And I have been having so much fun rereading. This is a reread for me. And it's been just absolutely fantastic. So I read 10 Poirot books in December. I don't have all of them as physical copies, so I will put some of them here on the screen. But the first book that I read was The Labours of Hercules. And this one was really interesting and fun. I think I talked about it in my reading vlog in December. So I'm not going to go, into deep detail here, but I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, actually. I'm sorry, I have my notes here. And yep. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was, him... what is it called? Solving 12 mysteries of that he kind of connected to Greek mythology and the 12 labors of Hercules, in Greek mythology. And I thought it was hilarious how he thinks that he thought like all these Greek heroes were basically criminals. And, none of them had the magnificent, sophisticated mustaches that this Hercules has. So he and his mustaches is just hilarious. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Then we have Taken at the Flood, which was okay. I like the plot. I like the story itself. The ending, there were things in the ending that I just was like, whoa, no, that has not aged well. Like, no. But the plot itself was a 4-star read for me, and I thought it was, quite fun. Then we have, Mrs. McGinty's Death, which I thought was really good. I really liked the beginning of this, where he is like walking out of a restaurant and he's like feeling well fed like a dog, or I don't know. He's just he appreciates a good meal. Good food is important to Poirot. But I like this book. It was pretty good, and I have really nothing more to say about it. 4 stars. It wasn't like superb, but it was pretty good. Then we have After the Funeral, and I really liked one of the characters here, which is Mr. Goby, and he's kind of this detective that Poirot hires, because he's the guy that goes on the scene to like find things out for Poirot. Poirot likes to sit in his chair and think with his grey cells, right? So this Goby character is his kind of legs on the ground type of investigator. And it's so funny, the description. So when he is talking to Poirot or talking to anyone, he never looks at people. So he's like talking to the lamp on the sofa table, or talking to the picture on the wall or something. He never. I think that's hilarious. Very, very fun. And Poirot actually doesn't appear that much in this book. And I find that happens in several of the books with Poirot. Sometimes he just comes in at like the end, or yeah. So it was okay. 4 stars. Hickory Dickory Dock. Also, a good mystery. 4 stars. I really don't have anything special to say about this book. It was fun as I was reading it, but didn't necessarily leave any lasting impressions. And we have Dead Man's Folly, which I didn't really like that much. I'm giving it 3 stars. It was okay. The plot was okay. And, it was an interesting mystery, but most of the characters I just didn't like them. And, it was not my favorite. So 3 stars. Then we have Cat Among the Pigeons. I have this one, which was really fun. I think it takes place in place in a girls' school where one of the teachers is killed, and there's this mystery with jewels that have been stolen, and it's a fun plot, fun story, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. And 4 stars. Then we have The Adventures of the Christmas Pudding. So this is a short story collection. I really enjoyed the first short story, which is called The Adventures of the Christmas Pudding. I thought that one was excellent, like 5 stars. But in general, like in total, this collection is a 4-star short story collection. The other stories were okay and fine. I enjoyed them, but nothing like super special. Then we have 2 more books and with Agatha Christie. So next one was The Clocks. And this one was actually very interesting. I really enjoyed this one. And I mean, it's a 4-star read. It's not one of my favorites. But I thought it was hilarious that there are 2 characters there called Ted and Bill. If you know Ted and Bill's excellent adventures. And those are definitely characters. Those characters were very much like the other characters. If you know, you know. So that was funny. Poirot comes into this book very late as well, but the mystery itself was fun and interesting. And then we have the last Agatha Christie book, which is The Third Girl, which is really funny. The beginning is really funny. So Poirot is writing, I don't know if it's like a book or just like a academic research of mystery writers. I think only English mystery writers. And he did not think a lot of Sherlock Holmes or Wilkie Collins, for example. Like, there was no method, an order. Things need to be like particular for Poirot. He's like box. Everything is straight angles. There are no rounds and no chaos. No, everything is very ordered and methodological, whatever. And I also thought it was so endearing when a young woman comes to him to look for help, and she's like, I didn't realize you were so old. And then she leaves, and his feelings were hurt so badly. Poor Poirot. I thought that was really funny. And of course, Ariadne Oliver is one of the characters in this book and in a few other books that I read in December. I love that character. She's one of my favorite Agatha Christie characters. She's just hilarious. Yeah, but so I gave this one 4 stars. I've been just absolutely loving binging on my Poirot books by Agatha Christie, so it's been fantastic. And then the rest of the books that I read there were 3 Icelandic books that I got for Christmas. And I always get thriller, crime, mystery, crime fiction, Icelandic crime fiction for Christmas from my parents, and always the book by Yrsa Sigurðardóttir. So this year was nothing different, and I got her newest book, which is I Pretend That I'm Sleeping. And this is a book that is the 4th book in one of her series. And I own, these are all of her books here. All of these. So I own all of her books. And this one was really good. Excellent mystery. I'm not sure it was necessarily a thriller. It was more of a mystery rather than a thriller. But very good, though. It was definitely suspenseful in parts. But yeah, I enjoyed it very much and I gave it 4 stars. I don't know if it has been translated already into English or other languages. I know I'm pretty sure a lot of her books at least have been translated. So I'm assuming that at some point it will be translated. Then on the other crime thriller that I read, or mystery fiction, crime fiction that I read, is this one. It's called The Evening That She Disappeared, or The Night She Disappeared, by Eva Björg Ægisdóttir, one of my all-time favorite Icelandic crime writers. This one was really good. This one was a 5-star read for me. It was very suspenseful, very thrilling, and just, yeah, I really liked it. I was so happy that I had this book to read. And then the third Icelandic book that I read at Christmas was this one. I don't own the physical copy. I read my father's copy. He got it for Christmas. And it's called basically The End of the Journey, and it's by Arnaldur Indriðason. He also writes crime fiction, but he also writes books like this, which was historical fiction. So this book took place in mostly like in Copenhagen and in north of Iceland in the early parts of the 19th century. It talks about the poet Jónas Hallgrímsson, who is an Icelandic poet, and he was also very a proponent of preserving Icelandic as a language, because there was a time, definitely in the 19th century or before that, when Iceland was a Danish colony, so there were a lot of Danish influences, and he was really one of the people who was in the forefront of protecting the Icelandic language and creating new words in Icelandic instead of just taking the Danish words and stuff like that. He was also an excellent poet, and a lot of his poetry has lived on and is just kind of part of the soul of the Icelandic soul. And so it was really good. It was about his last days when he died. He liked alcohol a little bit too much. He fell downstairs in his Copenhagen apartment or house, broke his leg, and it got infected, and that's how he died. But he, on his deathbed, basically in hospital, he is remembering this disappearance or murder of this young shepherd in one of the farms where he grew up, and what happened to him and how it disappeared. But he's also talking about his love. He was so much in love with one of the girls from one of the neighboring farms, and he wanted to marry her. He proposed to her. Her father stopped it, nipped it in the bud, because he had no money, he had no prospects, so he would not have been able to support a wife. So, and it broke his heart. She was married to another man. He never got married. And one of his epic poetry, his just beautiful poem, is about that loss of, the end of the journey is actually the name of the poem, and it's talking about his journey when they were traveling together with other people from Reykjavik back to the north of Iceland, where he fell in love with this woman or young girl and wanted to marry her, and then they were separated, and it's so beautiful. And I was just, the ending of the book made me cry. It was just so beautiful. It was so well done. So yeah, I really very much enjoyed my Icelandic books, and I still have a couple of more that I need to read or want to read in January. So that's exciting. I have one book, like I said before, that I didn't finish in December, and that is World Light by Halldór Laxness. I have it. It's here. No, where is it? It's on my pile there. Pile of books on my coffee table that I want to read in January. So it's in my Halldór Laxness project. I really wanted to finish it in December, but I just couldn't get into it. It's a really good book, but it's very literary. Yeah. I wanted to finish it in December, because then I would have finished my 12 books in 12 months Halldór Laxness project of 2024. So I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't manage to do that, but it's fine. I will finish it when I finish it, and then I will have read 12 books by Halldór Laxness, who is the Icelandic Nobel laureate. But then I also had one DNF. So because I was at my parents' house, and they are watching all like analog TV a lot. So they had like the national TV, Icelandic national TV on, and they have like the Danish national TV, the Norwegian national TV, the Swedish national TV, and those channels. And they're watching like linear TV or whatever it's called. And one of the shows that they were watching was actually about the veterinarians. That is a TV series that's been created from All Creatures Small and Beautiful, I think it's called. And I was just like, oh, this is very nice and cozy. So I started to read the first book. So I had like audiobook of collection of the first 3 books. And the collection is called All Creatures Young, Small and Beautiful. Is that what it's called? All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot. And I read a chunk of it, or listened to a chunk of the first book. But it's very cozy and very sweet and very lovely, but it's not something I was interested in. And I don't know, maybe I will read it at a later point. It just did not, it was too cozy and too sweet. So yeah, I DNF'd it. I'm not interested in reading that for sure. But apart from that, so it was such a good reading month, and I had just a really good time reading in December. Yeah, I guess that's that. Thank you for watching, and if you want to leave a comment, I would love that. We can talk about some of the books. Maybe you've read some of them or would be interested in reading them. Let me know and we can have a chat. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.